What's going on, everybody? This is Keith, aka Robe the Machine, aka Robe the King, aka Deuce Banner, aka Blessed Beyond Belief. We got mad aliens. Shout out to all of our patrons listening. Shout out to you listening on whatever platform you are listening on. Um, I am not alone. I am joined by my beautiful co-host, Noble Lee,
It's me,
Alicia
Noble Lee.
Oliver. Yeah, and so today we're going to talk about Will Smith's apology video.
Yeah.
Alicia, have you seen it?
I didn't watch it. My grandma called me about it last night and she was like, "Did you see Will Smith? He was crying and everything."
Was he crying?
I said, "Well, grandma, you know he's a good actor."
Right.
She said, "I think that's exactly what was going on."
Your grandmother is a very sweet lady, and let her live in her naive bliss. Me, I do not like this about me, y'all. Understand this. I do not like this about me. The fact that um, I don't believe anything. I don't believe I don't believe anything, man. I don't believe anything that outside of scripture. All I don't believe anything. Yeah, I mean all the stuff that they tell you. This is all the stuff they tell you not to believe in. All the stuff I don't believe everything but the Bible, and I believe in yeah, yeah. So Alicia, maybe talk about it some more while I look up this clip, which I should have found earlier.
Well, I'll give the background for those of you who haven't. So,
If you have been
Dor
living under a
under a rock, yeah, because
under a
literally, I
rock.
mean, it made national news. It was on every news media site, social media you could think of. Everywhere you turned, they were pretty much talking about this Will Smith and Chris Rock interaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it started off at the award ceremony where Will Smith or Chris Rock was one of his jokes, wife Jada Pinkett Smith, and he took it upon himself to defend his wife's honor by walking up to Chris Rock and smacking him in the face and told him to keep his wife's name out of his mouth. Um,
It sounds
and
crazy.
so
It sounds bad when you say it.
and so we got to relive that moment over and over for the past. I mean, there were real news events happening, and still Will Smith smacking Chris Rock was at the top of the headlines for at least 2 weeks straight. At least I'm being modest because I'm pretty sure it was more than that.
Mm-hmm.
It's been over a month now, and we're just getting this apology from Will Smith.
It's been three. It's been over 3 months. It happened like 4 months ago.
Whoa, was it that long ago? See, you never know how
Let me
frequently
look.
it's been in the.
Looking. I'm on his Instagram right now. Yeah, it happened in March.
Oh, it happened in March.
It's June.
Whoa.
Well, no, it's July. Excuse me. Yeah, it happened
Yes,
4 months ago.
July. Whoa.
Man.
Well, there you go. So,
So he slapped him, and
4 months
everybody.
later,
Yeah.
4 months later, we're getting an apology from him. So,
Well, he went overseas to go. Pray and pray to this and that spirit and all of that type of stuff. He went away to go reflect.
oh,
Yeah.
is that what's required when you smack someone? Um,
I feel like somebody else should have been doing the reflecting after they got slapped. But hey,
well, did we? Speaking of that, did we hear? Did a apology from Chris Rock come out for?
no, okay. Well, here's the video. I'm
All
gonna
right,
play the video right now,
all right. Let's watch it.
straight from Will Smith's Instagram. It reads, "It's been a minute. Over the last few months, I've been doing a lot of thinking and personal work. You asked a lot of fair questions that I wanted to take some time to answer.
Why didn't you apologize to Chris acceptance speech? Um, I was fogged out by that point. It's all fuzzy. I've reached out to Chris, and the message that came back is that he's not ready to talk, and when he is, he will reach out. Um, so I will say to you, um, Chris, I apologize to you. My behavior was unacceptable, and I'm here whenever you're ready to talk. Um, I want to apologize to Chris's mother. I saw an interview that Chris's mother did, and that was one of the things about that moment. I just didn't realize, and I wasn't thinking, but how many people got hurt in that moment. So I want to apologize to Chris's mother. I want to apologize to Chris's family, specifically Tony Rock. We had a great relationship. Tony Rock was my man, and this is probably irreparable. Um, I spent the last 3 months replaying and understanding the nuances and the complexities of what happened in that moment. Um, and I'm not going to try to unpack all of that right now, but I can say to all of you, there is no part of me that thinks that was the right way to behave in that moment. There's no part of me that thinks that's the optimal way to handle a feeling of disrespect or insults. Ada rolled her eyes. Did she tell you to do something? No. It's like, I made a choice on my own, from my own experiences, from my history with Chris. Jada had nothing to do with it. I'm sorry, babe. Um, and say sorry to my kids and my family for the heat that I brought on all of us. To all my fellow nominees, this is a community. It's like I won because you voted for me, and it really breaks my heart to have stolen and tarnished your moment. I can still see Questlove's eyes. It happened on Questlove's award, and it's like I'm sorry really isn't sufficient. What would you say to the people who looked up to you before the slap, or people who expressed that you let them down? So there's two things. One, disappointing people is my central trauma. I hate when I let people down. So it hurts. It hurts me psychologically and emotionally to know I didn't live up to people's image and impression of me. And the work I'm trying to do is, I am deeply remorseful, and I'm trying to be remorseful without being ashamed of myself, right? I'm human, and I made a mistake, and I'm trying not to think of myself as a piece of shit. So I would say to those people, I know it was confusing. I know it was shocking. But I promise you, I am deeply devoted and committed to putting light and love and joy into the world. And, you know, if you hang on, I promise we'll be able to be friends again.
And there you have it. So
Interesting. I don't think that I've seen such a formal apology for, and I'm not calling violent. I'm not shining light on violence or condoning it in any way. But worse things have happened in history and on television. In fact, I mean, people getting murdered for having Skittles and iced tea, and we don't see formal apologies from them ever. You know what I mean? And so I know in part that it is probably of Will's character. It's probably of his maybe some of the people on his team, marketing team, who recommend it. And then there's probably majority of this is probably the influence of the media and how much and how heavily publicized this event was, that made him feel like, you know, this is changing the hearts and minds of everybody, and everyone across the world do what is right. But like, we've seen so much, right? We've seen people being set on and literally lose their lives on camera by the hands of police officers. We don't get formal apologies from them. And for Will Smith, because, you know, I believe that those are things that we can actually feel, right? Like when those things happen to people in our community, people who we can relate to, or who we have something in common with. Breonna Taylor, we feel those incidences happening to us, and so we look for apologies, and we look for justice, and we look for a rectification of some sort. In this event, I believe that it was entertaining for us, right? Like, maybe there were some people who felt personally victimized and hurt by Will Smith's actions, maybe, possibly. But he didn't owe us an apology, right? He just formally apologized as a courtesy to Chris. You know, I smacked you in public. I'm also going to give you a public apology. But like, he took the time out to answer people's questions about his actions for someone else, right? So in that regard, people felt like it gives way to the fact that, you know, people feel obligated to get their questions answered by people who don't know them, who have absolutely no obligation to do anything for them, right? But in larger circumstances where lives are at and people, you know, people's families are affected, people's fathers and mothers are taken away at the hands of violence, we don't get apologies for those. And most certainly in not such a serious light and tone as Will Smith took it upon himself to do.
What do you say to the person that says, well, Will Smith is a public figure that needs to be seen in a certain light in order to be successful?
Sure. And in that regard, then he did the noble thing. He took the high road and he gave the apology that needed to be given. However, I would also place that back in my same analogy and say that a certain group of people called to protect and serve most certainly owe it to the people to give that same courtesy or that same respect. Not that it'd be enough, you know, not that it'd stop anything or cause us to not feel the hurt any longer. But I would say that Will, entertainer, and as an actor, he gave us highlighting news. He gave us fresh news for that moment. and he did what he was called to do to entertain. Now, again, I'm not condoning violence. I'm just saying that he's not held. He should not be held at such a standard. But if he is, then you took that apology home with you and you studied it and you determined that it was enough to suffice or it wasn't.
Mm.
But if you held him in the realm of an actor, as you should, you took it for what it was. You probably, I don't know. For those, I know there were people because there was this rumor going. I don't know if it's I shouldn't use the term rumor. It was said that Chris Rock has autism or some other kind of
Asperger's.
Yeah, so some form of autism on the spectrum. He's on the spectrum, and
like I don't get cues from when I'm
doesn't
going
understand.
overboard or something.
Right.
Which is
So
why
all of those things. So all of those things are said. But so there could be, we can't be ignorant to the fact that there may be a whole community of people who feel like that was an attack on all. Well, no, it was an attack on all people with Asperger's or on the spectrum. There are people who feel that way, and those are the people who should study and sit down and watch Will's apology over and over until they feel justified or rectified.
My issue is this. Well said, my dear. Well said. My issue is this. I didn't see it at first, or I didn't hear it at first. I guess I was just enamored by the fact that Will Smith called me his friend. But he said in his post that, well, in what we just listened to, was that my reaction was surely based on my history with Chris Rock. He had a history with Chris Rock. So he already, there was some stuff that was happening already. So it wasn't just a joke. He said it very quickly. He didn't he didn't talk about it a lot, but he mentioned it, that there is a history that I had with this man. It wasn't just about no joke. I'm going based off of my history. My wife didn't tell me to get up. I'm going strictly off of my history with this man. And that's probably what flashed in his mind was the history that he had with him and got up there and slapped him. Enough is enough.
He was, you have also, I went through and looked at the comments underneath of his video, and a lot of the people were telling him, you don't owe us an apology. You don't have no business apologizing for this. We always supported you, man. But the way the internet made it, seem you would have never guessed it. The way we watched it and how, like I said, I believe that a lot of I think it trended so well that a lot of media used it and milked it and fed off of it and gained new followers from it, and people wanted to keep watching it. And
what, the slap?
Yeah,
the slap or the apology?
Slap.
I'll be honest. Like I wasn't trying to watch the slap over and over. Now, granted, I got it on my Instagram, but that was for everybody else's consumption. That wasn't for me.
Well, that's my point. That's my point.
Okay.
But yeah, you had a whole community of people who kind of felt like he was justified. Woman, you disrespect me in public, I'm gonna disrespect you back in public. And there were also a whole group of people who were up in arms. He should be banned. He shouldn't be allowed to do anything else in this industry. Yeah. If this was blah, 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 if you would have never tolerated it. It was black on black, so I think that they highlighted it a lot more.
If this were The Rock, you wouldn't have done this to The Rock.
Yeah.
The Rock probably wouldn't have made a joke. And I'm not even tripping off of The Rock saying it because I don't have a history with The Rock disrespecting me and my family. You know what I mean? And knowing me and my family, like being in my family's house and stuff like that. Like we're familiar with each other.
For sure.
Um, I don't know. I'm old school, man. You know what I mean, now was the Oscars the time and place? I don't know. Like, who are we to say what the time and place was? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I don't know. My wife
I'm gonna
don't
pull
have
you.
to. My wife don't have to ask me to take up for her.
Right,
You
right,
know what I'm
right. It's
saying? I don't care.
instinct. It's
I don't care.
instinctual.
Yeah, I don't care what Jada says. My wife doesn't have to ask me to take up for her. I didn't need his protection. I don't need Will Smith's protection. Da 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 da. My wife don't need to ask me to do that.
Yeah.
I did that. Yes, I did do that. Here's my issue.
Go in, Q.
Women love to talk about like but that's and I think you'll agree with this. Some women have a way of taking something positive and making it a negative.
What you mean? Give me an example.
This is the example.
From Jada's
this
standpoint, what you
this
mean?
no from a man's standpoint, right? Oh,
Okay.
his and that's what Jada did a lot of times. His pride was his family. His pride was the way that his family looked and appeared and da 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 da. I'm like, yo, wouldn't that be a beautiful thing for anybody's
We're
pride to
not gonna
be in?
use Jada
Is a
idea
family?
of noble and just and
Okay,
right as it
women
makes
that
it.
women
Anything that she says, we're not gonna count that as
women that think like Jada. Then that's what
yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
saying.
yeah.
Women that think like Jada, like, oh well, he wanted us this and he like he his success was our success was his success and da 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 da. He wanted us to do this and do that, and we just wanted to be ourselves. I'm like, fam, and y'all gaslighted that man so bad. He thinking that wanting the best for you and wanting you to succeed in this world is wrong.
Mm.
Y'all done gaslighted that man so horribly bad that that's what he thinks. He's like, oh, and oh my, the worst thing in the world to me is letting people down. Mr.
Mm.
Pursuit of Happiness, you are going to let people down.
For sure.
You got 64 million people 64 plus million people following you on Instagram. So there ain't no
That was
telling
my
how
man
many.
coming to my defense in that way. I'm taking that
Okay,
night. He
okay,
getting never.
okay, okay. All right,
Can't
all
say
right.
down here.
So
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, this is your
Sorry.
podcast, but I'm just saying that was not my point. My point is that um you made me forget my point. Can't do that. I got ADD. You ain't can't be doing it. For real. Um, you
Sorry.
got this man thinking like, oh yeah, he was like, oh yeah, my man, I don't want to let people down. You have 64 plus million people following you, 64 plus million people that are fans of you worldwide.
Yeah.
You are going to offend
But
somebody. You are
but
going
he
to
cares
let
more about the
somebody down.
2%.
You let us down when you made Wild Wild West. You let us down when you did After Earth. You let us down when you did Bad Boys 3 20 years after you should.
No, no, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Bad Boys 3
Watch it
and
again.
all of your rap songs. They were all
We're not talking about that.
excellent.
We're not talking about that. I'm the hugest Will Smith fan when it comes to
Okay.
rapping. We're not
Okay.
talking about that. Ain't nobody a bigger fan than me. I was listening to a song yesterday and got one of his songs up on my Instagram right now, telling him we still friends. We still
I'm
friends.
good.
We have not stopped being
We
friends.
cool.
We are good. And if
Oh
anybody,
my
I'll tell you right now, Mr. Smith, if anybody stop being a friend off of one little slap,
One little slap. Ah.
was never a fan to begin with.
Oh my gosh.
Fam, sometimes you got, I don't know, man. I still feel where I was at. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you thought you could get this off and that it wasn't gonna happen here. I'm here to let you know that this could happen anywhere. You know how many times people they try to say something slick because they on a certain stage, they're in a certain place, and because they know that they could get it off. This is the most unassuming person that you thought would do something like this. He is Will Smith.
Right.
Not knowing that he actually has the history and has the gumption to do something like this, and knowing that I will fall out of the graces of all of these people, knowing that my PR crew is great, knowing that these people will fall in love with me because I'm just that daggone charming.
Yeah, so again, that's why I think the apology was for the 2%ers who felt like they deserved an apology.
He want that 2% back.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
people like me to say that's why that's my man. That's why that's my guy. You know what I mean? He not, they banned him from the Oscars for the next 10 years. He'll be all right. He's getting ready to make the most money from an Apple. He got like some sort of Apple deal. Like he's doing some movie with Apple. And it's the most that any person has ever made doing streaming on Apple or something like that. Like,
oh wow,
he's gonna be just fine.
That's deep. That's what's up.
What is it inside of me, which is the bigger question to me? What is wrong with me to where I think that it's okay that Chris Rock got slapped? I'm trying to still process that. Is it me or is it y'all? A lot of times when I do these things and when I have these thought process, it just comes out that y'all the problem. So that'll probably
I said that it wasn't necessary. I mean that it wasn't that he wasn't wrong. My issue was the way everyone else responded to it. You know what I mean? Like people were more up in arms about this than actual events in history that have occurred that really needed people's undivided attention.
It was beautifully stated. I second everything you said on that. Yeah. Absolutely. If this was on the BET Awards, would he have needed to apologize? If this was a Jordan Peele production, would he have needed to apologize? If this were a white man, would he have needed to apologize? If a white man had slapped Chris Rock, would he have needed to apologize? I think it's less about. I really feel this way. I think it's less about I think it's less about the action and more about who did the action.
To who? To whom though? Like who the action was.
All the people that are disgruntled. All the people that are disgruntled. They're disgruntled because they are disappointed in Will Smith. You know what I mean? Like, I'm disappointed in you because I never thought that you would do that.
Well, Will Smith's always been the cross. You know, he's definitely had made an audience for himself where he's not just a black. You know what I mean? There are people who know Will Smith and feel like he's one of them. How do I say that? He's the people's man. He's not just, in our community who you might not see in white films in the same capacity as you might see Will Smith in. That's what I want to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say on that.
I don't have nothing to say to Chris Rock. Fam, I don't care. I don't care if you're not willing to accept his apology right now. You need to apologize to him for some stuff that you've been saying. You know what I mean? That's like, I was talking to my mom about this.
This is a street code thing. This isn't a Hollywood thing. Hollywood doesn't care about any of that you're saying, Keith.
About what I'm saying?
Yeah, you talking about real street code stuff. Like,
okay, well,
you were being disrespectful to me, and so I had the opportunity to give you a physical response to how.
You are absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct.
It's very Jersey.
That's how I was raised.
Right.
Pastor and all. You know what I mean? So it's like, it is what.
And that's what's really doing it. Like you were trying to figure out in yourself, like, oh, what's wrong with me? That it's not.
But it's in me.
Disrespect in a lot of communities.
Yeah.
Is equal. It takes equal parts.
Yeah. But I was about to take it higher. I was about to take it way above the streets. I was talking to my mother about this today. I'm really throwing around the idea and tossing around the idea in my head. And I'm really starting to settle in on it. Who are you to think that you give mercy?
Mm.
I don't think that in the kingdom of God, spiritually,
Mm-hmm.
we can show mercy to anyone. We can only show grace.
This is true.
Who do you think you are? You know what I'm saying?
No,
Oh,
that's
well, you
good.
deserve this, but I'm going to let you rock. Who are you, sir?
Mm-hmm.
Because, Chris, you may not have slapped Will Smith, but you have slapped someone else some other type of way, if not
Mm-hmm.
physically.
Yep.
You did something to offend him. You know what I'm saying? Many
Yep.
times over for him to do that. Who are you to think that you give him mercy? Nah,
Yeah.
I ain't gonna press charges. He gonna get what's coming to him. You not showing mercy. You only showing grace.
Mm.
Not graciously even. You're only showing grace because there is only one person, only one being,
Mm.
and he's not earthly at all. In my opinion, that can
Mm-hmm.
show mercy.
That's
Now, if
good.
you, I was giving my mom the same analogy. Now, if you in court, for all intents and purposes, Lord forgive me, the judge is God within the court, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he is the one that doles out mercy. He is the one
Mm-hmm.
that doles out grace. God being the judge, having control over the world, having rendered judgment unto Jesus and all of that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Has the due diligence and the justice and has all of the all the things that you need, all the criteria it takes to have mercy. You do not. None of us have it.
Right.
We have wronged someone. We have all wronged someone in a way in which we've been wronged.
Right.
I was so like this is one of my favorite. Well, it's not one of my favorites. I just think the Bible is hilarious. Okay, but I also know that the Bible is chock full of truth, and I live my life by it. And I think through it, right? And so, but Jesus is the funniest guy in the world, along with being the Most High, along with being, our Lord and Savior, the propitiation of our sins. The list goes on, right? But
Mm-hmm.
with all that, after you, if not that I wish you would, but if you could get past all of that for just a quick second and realize that Jesus is hilarious. He is hilarious, right? So he tells this parable about a king and a servant or somebody in the kingdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
They owed the king money. It was like millions of dollars according to today, right?
Mm.
He owed him millions of dollars, like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of money. Um, the king was like, he was like, "Yo, if you give me time, I will pay it back. Just, I'm so sorry." Like, cause the punishment for owing the king money and not having it when he asked for it was death. That's the
Mm.
penalty.
Yeah.
Yo, don't even worry about it. What? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You and your family don't cause the king knew he could never repay the debt. Don't
Right.
worry. Don't worry about it. The guy was like, "Oh wow, thank you so much." So he showed him mercy by not killing him, cause that's what he
Right.
deserved. Cause that was the punishment for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's low key treason. You owe the king money and you ain't paid him back, and then on top of that, you owe him millions of dollars. Don't worry about it. Your debt is wiped clean. So that's grace.
Mm.
You can't show nobody. You can't show nobody no mercy. You
Right.
not the king.
You ain't the
You
king.
not the judge. I'm not even there yet. So the dude is super gracious, we think, right? He
Mm-hmm.
walks outside. It's not funny, but it's a parable. So thank God it didn't really happen, but this happens
Mm-hmm.
for real every day, right?
Uh-huh.
He walks outside and he sees somebody that owes him money and demands the money. The dude say, "Yo, my bad. And it was way less than what he owed the king.
Right.
It was like maybe $1,000 compared to millions of
A
dollars
million.
that he owed the king."
The audacity.
Yes, and he's like, "Yo, I'll pay you. If you just give me some time, I'll pay you back." And he's like, "Nah, I want my money right now." And he yokes the dude up. And the
The
king,
audacity.
the servants go and tell the king what they saw. The king was like, I just absolved you from a major debt. You know what I mean? You literally just walked out of here, and I forgave you for all of the money that you owed.
Right.
The penalty is death. Not only did I let you live, I told you you ain't have to pay me back.
Right.
I gave you mercy and grace. For those of you who don't know, mercy is not getting what you deserve. Grace is getting what you don't deserve. And so he was like, and you going to talk to this man and demand your money back, and it's way significantly less than what you owe me, and you going to demand that he give it back to you? It's not like you had to pay me back anymore.
Right.
Yo, be cast into the lake of fire. Send this man wherever we was getting ready to send him. You not out here giving mercy. You not out here doling mercy. You are just as guilty as the next person. You are just as guilty as the person that wronged you. You don't give mercy. You can only extend grace.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Who are we not to forgive this man who didn't even wrong us? And who is Chris Rock? I'm not ready. I mean, maybe he's not ready to talk. He's not ready. I've been there. I ain't ready to talk. God bless you though. I forgive you. Now, am I at the point where I can give you grace right now? No, definitely forgive you because I must. I must. I've done wrong and I've been forgiven, and and I'm walking off scot free, and I'm going to keep doing more wrong, and I'm going to keep being forgiven
Right.
and walking off scot free. You know what I mean? Not saying like I'm trying to do those things, but it will happen.
Mhm.
I don't know. Yeah,
No, you
I'm
broke
with
it
those
down.
people.
That's good.
I'm with those people that don't. You don't owe us no apology, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Step in the right direction. For all of those people that feel hurt by it and all of that type of stuff, to all those people that were looking up to me all over the world, because it's just me and you, Alicia, right? We like whatever, whatever.
Yeah.
If he got slapped, he just got slapped, whatever, right? But then there is some other people like that is wrong on so many levels. You embarrassed him. You
We need
embarrassed
to
my
pay the
family just a
price.
second ago, and then we just supposed to laugh at that. But when I slap you, it ain't funny. Okay. And that's what we say, right? That's what we say in the neighborhood, right? But now when I
That's so
slap you,
good.
now when I
It
slap you,
ain't. You ain't gonna be laughing no
it
more.
ain't gonna be it ain't gonna be funny when I
It ain't
slap
gonna
you.
be
But
funny when I
that
smack you.
when I slap you, I'm wrong. That
Yep.
was